The NBA playoffs have been a bit of a dud so far. That changed yesterday as we had a couple pretty fun games in the association. Up first, it was the Pistons and the Knicks, and I thought that the Knicks talent would eventually win out, and they would be able to come away with a pretty convincing series win over the Pistons, but credit Detroit, like getting a win at MSG, now having this tied up at 1, going back to Detroit. This is, I mean, it's best case scenario for the Pistons. And you could see like they were comfortable in game 1. Or sorry, they weren't comfortable at times in game 1, but they were starting to get their legs under them, and then the Knicks just took it out right from underneath them. But for this team to come back in that way in game 2, it shows a lot. And it now, like this feels like a series. And that's tough for the Knicks because they have used a lot of their, or not a lot of their guys, but they have used up a lot of minutes with their guys this season. And I think they kind of needed this one to be like a 4 or 5 game series. If this is a drag them out 6 or 7 game series, that's... Look, I don't know how much of a shot the Knicks have against the Cavs in the next round anyway, but if they wanted any hope of it, I think this had to be a bit of a quick one. Given the miles that are on Brunson and he comes up limping in game 1, given the miles that were on Hart, OG Anunoby has been great, but you are kind of just waiting for that to fall apart as well. So given everything that was going on with this Knicks team, I think they kind of needed this one to be a little bit quicker than it was. And for the Pistons to come out now with this series tied at 1, really important stuff for them. So kudos to them for that. But also the real drama of the day was the Denver Nuggets taking on the LA Clippers in game 2 of their series. And game 1 was close. The Clippers just couldn't get the big stop when they needed it. This time they got the big stops when they needed it. And Kawhi Leonard was excellent. Oh, he was so good in this game. And it's just those little cerebral things that he does. Like, and again, like you guys can see, obviously, fan. But like they're obviously going to bring a double at him when it's a 1-point game late. Westbrook is cheating over. Like he's basically, you may as well just bring the double at that point. And like it's a little thing, but he recognizes that. It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm going this way then. And he just dribbles up and instead of driving into all the help and everything, just pulls up mid-range jumper, boom, knocks it down. Just it's perfection. And it's a little thing, but a lot of guys would have, all right, well, I'm going to the hole, so I'm just going to drive into that help and then 2 more bits of help that are coming after, and I'm going to force up a tough shot. It's like, I'm one of the best mid-range players that's ever existed in the history of the sport, so I'm just going to do that again, and we're going to be cool with it. Great. Like he was awesome. Norm Powell really tried really hard to hit the big shots late and then finally comes up with an absolute, what felt like a dagger at the time of a 3-ball. And now credit Denver for battling back to every time they would claw back into it. But it felt like that. Like it felt like they were clawing back in, right? It didn't feel like it was just oh man, and the Clippers got us. No, this was, they were just scratching and clawing for everything they could get. And somehow they were just hanging around. And then they get an opportunity with the ball late and Brown has a chance to tie the game and he puts up the Carlton Banks 3-pointer. Jokic gets the rebound, turns around and just heaves it and it's off. And this series is now tied at 1 game apiece. You knew this was going to be close, and you knew this was going to be a grind of a series. But that, like, the score was in doubt for most of it. But if you took the scoreboard away, it just felt like the Clippers were the better team in that game on Monday night. They felt like they were more in control of that. And then at some point, it was just Jokic was like, all right, I guess I have to win this one now. And I think sometimes we can overplay depth in the NBA. I remember, again, from a Raptors standpoint, when, it's the bench mob. They got the deepest team in the league. It's like, okay, that's awesome in the regular season. But now LeBron's playing 45 minutes, so depth doesn't seem to really matter because they've got their bench down to 6 and they're winning. So does this matter? No. A lot of it comes down to how much you can get from your stars and how much you can squeeze out of them. And Denver, it is clear, is going to have to squeeze every last drop out of Jokic to get it done. Murray had some big moments in game 1 and a couple here in game 2. MPJ was great as a rebounder. And that, I think that is going to have to be where Denver's advantage now comes in. Because like Zubats is doing a pretty good job, as good of a job as he can on Jokic. like where Jokic struggled honestly in the last game was the free throw line, but the turnovers too, I guess. And you can put a lot of that credit on Zubats for the pressure that he is putting on a Jokic and kind of forcing some of those issues. But it does feel like everywhere else there's a bit of a size advantage for Denver, and so I think there may be. Maybe you want to utilize that a little bit more, and it would become a bit of a spacing nightmare to have MPJ and Gordon down in the block like that all the time, but you have size advantages there and there. So I guess if you want to pull Jokic out a little bit, have MPJ and Gordon, I know you like to open them up at the corners there, but have them using their size advantage down by the rim, and then you can still have Murray and Brown out in the corners or out at the elbow kind of as your 3-point shooting and stuff like that. Like I think there might be some ways that you can play around with potentially trying to maximize a size advantage that they appear to have here in this series. So that could be an adjustment there for Denver, but credit the Clippers. Defensively, they really buckled down and forced a lot of turnovers. And Denver, like Jokic is great, and far be it for me to criticize a guy who gets a triple-double again in the postseason, but I think they kind of needed him to be a little bit better, and those turnovers were a bit tough. And I think, again, credit to Zubats, but a great night in the NBA. I am not anticipating the same for tonight with Bucks Pacers, with the Grizzlies and the Thunder, and with the Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. That one I think will be good. I think we'll get a good bounce back here from Los Angeles. But the Bucks, that was a really concerning Game 1 performance with just how bad they looked defensively. Just all over, right? Like, they had to work for everything on offense. And for Memphis, like, they're not close. The spread in that game's 14.5. I, with a smile on my face and a tear in my eye, will take Oklahoma City minus 14.5 there. I do think the Lakers bounce back in the spot against the Timberwolves tonight. But, again, not anticipating a drama-filled night the same way we got on Monday.